should we do Dave Rubin with?
Oh my God, yeah.
All right, so here is Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin must get the talking points delayed, right? Because what Dave doesn't seem to understand is that we are past the COVID denial. We're into the vaccine denial, sort of, right? Or aren't we into the Delta variant denial? Here is Dave Rubin with some deep thoughts about COVID.
He's just throwing things out there.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense. Why is it that not one country, somewhere perhaps in Africa, that didn't have the technology or the wherewithal or the information to deal with this thing properly, why did not one country fail? Why didn't we find one city that was completely infected and everyone died? All of this stuff. I'm just asking questions here, okay? I don't mean to be a crazy right-wing conspiracy theorist when I say all this. I'm just asking the questions, but we didn't.
Mean to be.
Dave Rubin, you can find 7-8 months ago, he was literally doing these live streams where he'd be walking past the hospital and be like, "Ooh, look, doesn't that hospital's parking lot look suspiciously empty in the middle of a pandemic?" He is just an idiot conspiracy theorist.
But
yes.
It's almost like, Dave, COVID doesn't have an 100% death rate.
Well, that's one of the things about COVID is it does not have a 100% death rate. There's also, the fact of the matter is that there's just not as much, the travel between cities, not as extensive. But the idea that everybody would die, and frankly, one of the things that we're seeing is in this country, he doesn't have to travel all the way to Africa to find this out, is that you look at what's happening in states like Mississippi and Tennessee.
Take what happened in India.
Well, in India, but I'm saying right now in this country, you're watching states that are, vaccination rates below 40% are having massive explosions of COVID. And Missouri, Arkansas, and it's not happening in other parts of the country. It's conceivable, and part of the reason why we want to be able to get the vaccine to places like the continent of Africa, the city in Africa.
The city of Africa.
City of Africa.
Right.
Is because ultimately the variants and the COVID will ultimately end up there. And it's conceivable that the, folks are wearing masks and you're in less dense areas, and maybe it's, but at one point it could be a problem.
He's really speaking for the type of idiot that listens to Rubin every day that wonders oh, we're the greatest country in the world. They're so on the American exceptionalism thing that's an actual interesting question for them.
Right. In terms of practices, practices pre-vaccination, they actually have the wherewithal in these countries to...
Africa's dealt with some public health issues.
Occasionally. It's happened. Yeah.
It's amazing to me, though, that he has a subscriber base, and there are people that are like, I need to pay for that kind of content.
On some level, you do need to pay. If you want to bathe yourself in that type of ignorance, you need to.
Well, you pay in more ways than one.
You need to stake out a certain area and stay there, because otherwise, if you go out, somebody's going to say, "Hey, why do you keep calling it the Genocide Olympics?" Folks, there's more of what you've just saw where that came from. That's if you hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you. Really, thank you.